I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, this guy, he is a yoga guru, spiritual person. And I must say, my leg has been stuck for the last 3 hours. I can't move, and it's really cold. So I guess yoga isn't for me. And that worries me slightly, because I want to be a spiritual person, and it seems that you have to do yoga to be a spiritual person, so what's it all about? And it makes me think about vegetarianism. Do you remember when that became cool, like 10 years ago? It's like, I'm a vegetarian, and everyone was thinking, well, what are you going to eat then? Grass? And nowadays, it's not so cool. It's cool to be a vegan or an ahimsa vegan. I mean, you can't even get car insurance if you're not a vegan nowadays. So yoga's cool, but what is it? And is there anything beyond stretchy legs? Sorry, that made me laugh because I can't stretch my legs right now. Let's go and find out.
I just want to read you some stats from the world we're living in. Yesterday, 416 billion emails were sent by 2.4 billion internet users. 786,000 television sets were sold. 196 million pounds worth of video games were bought. 576 million newspapers were circulated. 9.4 billion pounds was spent on public services, 8.4 billion pounds on education, and 6.3 billion pounds on military-related activities. I could go on, but I think you get the point. The world we're living in has become a complex urban jungle. In order to survive in this complex civilization, our lives have also become incredibly complex. So many people have lost balance in their life. On a physical level, we have to get the balance between being active and being still. On an emotional level, we have to get the balance between being with people and being alone. On a spiritual level, we have to get the balance between spending time nourishing our self and working and being active in the world. For most people, their lives are out of balance, and therefore we find yoga has become incredibly popular as a means and a way to achieve physical and mental balance in our life. Yoga has become popular in the world today primarily for its physical benefits. People experience increased flexibility. They see the strengthening effects of yoga, the cleansing effects of yoga, and how it has incredible healing power as well. Many people also experience and appreciate the mental and emotional benefits of yoga. They feel more calm, more peaceful, experience increased clarity and focus. Interestingly, the Bhagavad Gita explains that the physical and mental benefits of yoga are actually just side benefits. The real benefit, the real goal, and the real result of yoga is to experience spiritual connection. The word yoga actually means union. In the Bhagavad Gita, different types of yoga are prescribed as a means to achieve this union of the soul with the Supreme Soul. The Bhagavad Gita talks about karma yoga, the path of conscious action. The Bhagavad Gita talks about jnana yoga, the means of linking with the Supreme via the intellect and analytical study. The Bhagavad Gita also mentions practices of hatha yoga, where one practices physical asanas, postures, and breathing techniques. And the Bhagavad Gita also talks about bhakti yoga, which is the yoga of devotion, the yoga of love. And in this way, many different paths are prescribed as a means to achieve this spiritual connection. And therefore, the purpose of yoga is not simply physical, is not simply mental or emotional, but is ultimately, in its deepest sense, a spiritual practice. After delineating a variety of yoga systems within the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna concludes by explaining Bhakti Yoga to be the supreme yoga system. It's simple, it's effective, it's efficient, and it synthesizes all other yoga practices into something that everyone can do without any restriction. Bhakti Yoga is the yoga of love and devotion. Within Bhakti Yoga, many different practices are prescribed: the chanting of God's names, the study of spiritual literatures, the offering of practical service, and the worship of the personal form of God. By performing these various activities with sincerity and purity, one actually experiences a very deep connection with the divine very, very quickly. Bhakti Yoga gives us the most intimate and powerful connection with God. If I had a cake here, we could perceive the cake using different senses. We could use the sight and understand something about the cake. We could use the nose and smell it and understand something more about the cake. We could touch it and understand a little bit more about the cake. But when we use our tongue and taste the cake, then we'll be able to get the greatest understanding of what that cake is. In the same way, different yoga processes give us some understanding of the divine and definitely some sense of connection with the divine. But Bhakti Yoga gives us the most powerful and intimate connection, and therefore it's known as the topmost yoga system.
So I'm still here. I'm stuck still in my yoga posture, but luckily someone came and gave me a coat. I was too embarrassed to ask to free me from the position because I've got something called ego. Anyway, there is good news. The good news is that you don't have to do upside downwards, I think it's called dog, to reconnect to God. So that's good. More good news, you don't have to give up your day job and become a monk to be spiritual. And actually, I think what we learned in that video is that spirituality, religion, yoga, they're all of the same kin. It all really means to reconnect to a supreme spiritual source, and that's the goal of yoga and religion and spirituality. So this is the end of this section, and I want to remind you to take the quiz, and I'll see you on the other side.